The rental news is in, and it's pretty surprising. Rents have really been dropping in Las Vegas. In certain areas, certain pockets of the city, as little as 0.8%, but up to 14.3% in other areas of the city. So rents have been dropping and correcting to the market. Now, what's really, really interesting is that the rental gap between what the average rent is at a little over $1,700 and the average mortgage payment is for similar type homes or condos at 2025 is actually the seventh lowest in the nation, just coming in at under $300 in a gap between renting and owning. Now, when you factor in some of the tax benefits, head of household type benefits, and the fact that you are actually paying into equity on a home, well, it makes you think, right? Things that make you go, if you could afford that extra $300, should you be affording that? And it's actually not quite 300, it's around 280 something. So when you really factor all of those things in, it's something to consider. Should I rent or should I buy? Now, a lot of people, when it comes to renting, they're willing to settle and just say, well, I'm here temporarily, so I'll just take this. And they go into a rental, and let's say that rental is $1,500. However, when they're looking to buy, they're saying, well, I really want to buy what I want. And then they realize that the payment is, say, $2,500 or $2,700, and they're looking at these gaps of $1,000 or $1,200. However, the reality is, if you're looking at like, kind, and quality, then the gap is much, much lower. And again, you have those benefits. So when really thinking about should I just stay renting or should I buy if I can't get what I want, think about it this way. Could you be potentially building equity and either hold on to that property and make it a rental after you are able to move on to the property you really want, or build up some equity over the next few years and sell the home? Think about the fact that there are going to be fees in selling the home, but sell the home, walk away with some equity so that way you have cash to put down on that next home, as opposed to just renting, putting it into something where you're going to get zero return. You're truly at a 100% interest scenario. So going back to the news part of this, the average one bedroom is coming in at about $1,277. I've seen one bedrooms all the way up to a couple $1,000s, depending on where it is and how fancy it is. And obviously you've got some one bedrooms that could be down still under $1,000. So that's what you've got going on with rents in the market. That's an indicator of the overall market and the pressures, and really the fact that there's just a bit more inventory when it comes to the actual rental market than there is the housing market. Inventory, yes, has gone up in the actual resale element of the market. However, the number of rooftops versus the number of people is a lot lower in a ratio on actual homes, purchased homes, versus for the homes that are owned by investors or large institutional investors. So that's where those ratios come in, and that's what's happening in the rental market. That is your daily deal, and we'll see you tomorrow.